Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
I want money. That's what I want.
What is going on out there, peeps? Yes, money. That's what we want. We know that the United States has been tightening the screws down in Iraq just because they feel like money is being smuggled, laundered, whatever you want to call it, over into Iran, circumventing the sanctions that were put on by the United States, which is a no-no. And not just that country, but a couple of other countries as well. So they adopted a new banking system that's supposed to help them monitor their money even a lot closer. And we'll notice if the United States really starts loosening up with the dollars. I did notice a tactic that the United States is using with more than one country. We'll go over that here in just a moment. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link will be down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code PIMPYSILVER. Yes, it has changed. PIMPYSILVER. So if you're watching this video and it's an older video, make sure you check on current videos, because the code is going to be changing from time to time from now on. Also, I can be found on other platforms. Everybody knows I have my own website, Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I post videos that I can't get away with over on YouTube. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. You can also come follow me on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and Odyssey. The links for all these platforms will be down below in the description. So for whatever reason, if I get removed off of one platform, you could find me on the others. Alrighty, it says U.S. diplomat points out the positives of Hussein's visit to Washington and does not rule out the appearance of Sudanese in the White House. This was the politician from Iraq that always has that face, that what the face, you know what I mean? And I'm telling you, every time I see him, he has that face. Look at, he still has that same face. He's like, what the is going on? It's funny. A lot of you guys notice the same thing. So anyways, the talks are all the same. What could they do to get out of trouble? Can the United States ease up on some of these restrictions? And the things they need to do to move forward to build a better relations. That's what this entire article is about right here. It says, although Hussein's visit was a long plan, Hussein's misfortune was that he had to engage with senior officials from Joe Biden's administration while they were focused on Russia invasion in Ukraine and the downing of a Chinese spy balloon. You know, there's something going on with that spy balloon bullcrap. Somebody said, you know, does this remind you of Project Bluebeam? Now, I've read briefly what Project Bluebeam was, but when I got more into it, I'm like, wow, they actually are going to do this. They're trying to implement Project Bluebeam, and it's a trip. So these Chinese spy balloon crap is just a BS, if you ask me. And it continues with, and fears that Iran and Russia would use the Iraqi bank system to circumvent the U.S. sanctions and obtain you in addition to further pressure. I sent a letter dated February 2nd from the new chairman of the House of Representatives of Foreign Affairs Committee about Baghdad's relationship with Kurdistan regional government, and another letter dated February 10th from 3 other members of Congress accusing the Sudanese government of siding with the Iranian regime, colluding with money laundering operations carried out by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards from the Iraqis' point of view. So yeah, that's something I didn't think about. Russia could be using Iran to circumvent the U.S. sanctions as well. So yeah, that's another country. Look, the United States should have thought about this when they start bullying people with all these different sanctions. I get what they're trying to do, but some of the people that they're pushing around, there's no reason for it. And the fact that Ukraine now has unlimited funding from us, for what? That's a proxy war. This can be the United States' excuse to go to war with Russia. They absolutely want regime change over there because Putin and Xi aren't exactly lining up with this whole Great Reset agenda. I'm not a fan of the Great Reset and how much our country is embracing it and loving it and trying to push all of us into it. Said Hussein arrived in the wake of a currency crisis and the sharp devaluation of the Iraqi dinar as a result of the Central Bank of Iraq's application of the new controls imposed by the U.S. Treasury Department on the exchange rate of the dollar in the Iraqi market. I wonder why he's got a what the face is going on. So his job was to come over here to the United States to see what he could do to ease up on some of these restrictions, to get things right. The United States expressed their concerns, and not a whole lot else was talked about. Now, this is what I'm talking about right here. The United States is real savvy. They have people buying more of the U.S. bonds, buying more of our debt. This way, then, they're less likely to move into a new reserve system in fears that the dollar would lose its value. Iraq bought $18.31 billion in U.S. bonds in 2022. So the U.S. Treasury Department revealed on Saturday that Iraq ranked first amongst the Arab countries buying U.S. bonds during the past year. The ministry said in statistics on its official website, Iraq bought U.S. bonds during the past year, 2022, from January to December, amounting to $18.31 billion, with a growth rate of 81.38%, and to reach $40.814 billion, and now ranks first amongst the Arab nations. It would seem to me that Iraq could find something much better to invest in besides the United States. So, buying into our debt, I get what Iraq's trying to do. They have faith in the dollar. I wouldn't have too much faith. We printed out so much money, and now we're talking about possibly doing more. How can a dollar keep its value when, in fact, you keep printing so much money? Sudanese advisor talks about turning Baghdad into a large workshop, take up the crowds and the inconvenience of the roads. This is a really good thing because al-Sudani is going to start a bunch of projects. As you can see right here is around, more than 150 projects that he's going to be doing. And it's going to be around mostly the Baghdad metro area. And they're going to start doing a lot of infrastructure. And he's saying to the people, you're going to have to deal with the traffic for now. But, they should. The fact that this is going to create a lot of jobs is really good. So Shamari went on to tell the news, soon a large project will be implemented under the supervision of al-Sudani, which aims to turn the capital of Baghdad into a major workshop for more than 150 projects for the Baghdad municipality and dozens of projects for the Minister of Construction, Housing, Municipalities, and Public Works. So these projects include the rehabilitation, cladding, expansion, and furnishing of the roads, the construction of bridges, tunnels, cross-river bridges, highways, new residential squares, water, sewage, and electricity projects, and entrance into the capital, which have been implemented, as well as the implementation of the procedures of Baghdad Metro projects in practice in hopes of completing the requirements quickly. So the Prime Minister, at the end of his message, said, "Let us stand in solidarity with each other and endure the inconvenience of the road and congestion in the hopes of radical solutions away from patching." What's wrong with patching? We like those things that put wear and tear on our tires. Al-Sudani said that the projects consist of 4 phases. The first direct phase includes 70 projects for the development and street cladding, with an extra exceeding 8 million square meters. And in the second phase, there are 35 projects for bridges and tunnels in addition to public transport and housing. He pointed out that the third phase will be launched with 26 projects for the sanitation sector, 33 projects for drinking water, while the fourth phase includes 9 projects to increase green spaces, rehabilitation, nurseries, and manage waste, as well as proceed with the completion of projects concerning with culture, beauty, and heritage identity, including the revival of Rashid Street, the historic center of Baghdad. I did a video showing you guys that they're trying to build a smart city over there in Baghdad, which is right off one of their ports. I'm sure a big portion of that has to do with building a smart city. So we'll keep an eye on how they progress because all of it affects the Iraqi dinar. World Bank promises debt structuring of troubled economies. Sure they do, because that's what the World Bank does. They're such good people, So the World Bank president said in a meeting with the International Monetary Fund, India, China, and other creditor countries on Saturday that the World Bank will provide as much easing as possible in debt processing to troubled economies. The comments come amid calls from China, the world's largest bilateral creditor, for global lenders to reduce loans to developing countries affected by the impact of the Russian-Ukraine war and the RONA. Meanwhile, the United States has criticized China for its slowdown in debt relief for dozens of low and middle income countries. The World Bank is committed to providing positive net inflows in a way that further facilitates the restructuring process. He said in a meeting of the global sovereign debt in Bengaluru on the sidelines of the G20 financial leaders, we will provide as much ease as possible to address debt. Malpass also referred to the constructive statements of China's deputy central bank governor at Friday's G20 meeting that had given room to move forward on debt issues. So yeah, they're doing all they can to keep countries from collapsing everywhere because a lot of countries are on the brink. The governor of the Central Bank of Iraq receives a number of leaders of security services and owners of exchange companies. So you got a lot of people in there trying to do what they can to get aboard so they can start receiving US dollars. And that means they all have to be tied into the same banking system. So the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq received yesterday a number of leaders of the security services and owners of exchange companies and mediating the sale and purchase of foreign currency. The governor discussing coordination and procedure between the central banks and the concerned agencies and determining roles and tasks in light of the directives of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So what are these things? He said the central bank is the only body responsible for monitoring and inspecting banks, exchange companies, and non-bank financial institutions approved by the central bank in accordance with its laws. The transfer of cash and dinars and dollars and in any other currencies is allowed inside Iraq for all natural and legal persons, including bank exchange companies mediating the sale and purchase of foreign currency and its branches in all governments. Of course, that makes sense. In order to prevent the removal of cash across the borders and ports, which exceeds what is specified in the instructions of the central bank, $10,000, the competent security authority shall follow up and inspect vehicles in the roads and paths leading to the borders to prevent smuggling and take legal measures in coordination with the central bank while providing the bank with the amounts of banknotes discovered. Now, before in the past, I would say, oh, that's kind of crazy. I don't know how they're going to do that. The fact that Interpol costs so many of them is pretty crazy. The amount sent from banks and companies to their branches shall be accompanied by documents from the sender showing the details of the sender and the co-signee, and shall be submitted to the points of external controls upon request. So basically what they're doing is they're putting a clamp down, like I said before, on the dollars. And they're making sure that all the policies and procedures are implemented properly so they can account for where the money is going and who sent it. The sooner Al-Sudini can get started on these projects, the better. They still have to pass the budget before they can do anything else. So the sooner that budget is passed, the better off they are. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. I look forward to your comments, and I'll get back at you later. I'm out.